Hi, I'm Faster EFT practitioner Kim Brown. Glad you could join me today. And I am so excited today because I have the honor to interview someone I have respected for so many years. Level 4 Faster EFT practitioner David Stewart. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Kim. It's good to be here. I'm looking forward to our interview and touching base with the Faster FT family.
Great. David and his wife Brenda have been our dear friends as well as mentors for over 30 years. And David is the person who introduced me to Faster EFT. So, in a way, he is the reason we're all sitting here today. So, David, tell us, many people have asked me in the Faster EFT community, but where have you been? What's been going on?
Wow. Okay. Let's see. I guess about a year and a half ago, there was a trigger that happened. Won't go in detail about that. But I started having old chronic depression symptoms, and I didn't know what they were. But they were very much related to the past 45 years of church work that I've been involved in. And at first, I would have maybe 3 or 4 days. And what would happen is I wouldn't be able to think like I used to. My visual ability would shut down. If anybody knows me, they know that, I can visualize a storm, up in my mind, or a calm, but I couldn't do that. And I was working on projects for Robert, and I would find that when it happened, I just didn't know what I'd done. I couldn't think. I couldn't operate like I used to. And when it got really bad, one day I was doing a session, and in the middle of it, it just happened. And all of that learned intuition and skill and the things that made me the practitioner that I was, it just wasn't there. So fortunately, my Mr. Bungee training that I follow myself, if anybody's been through that, kicked in, and I just automatically finished the session like I normally would. And I got through it, but I even quit doing sessions because I couldn't give my client the best, and I didn't know what's going to happen. That turned into being there all the time. And it was about a year of, I would guess, darkness. One of the old mystical writers calls it the dark night of the soul, I guess. That's what happened. It was pretty scary. Pretty scary.
I imagine it would have been.
Yeah.
So what did you do about that?
Well, one of the last conversations that I had with Robert is I was telling him about some of the symptoms, and he said the obvious that I wasn't even looking at. He says, you need to get some practitioners working on you. And I was like, yeah, I do. And then he said what he's always said in the training, that he says it over and over, and you see it on YouTube. He says, and remember this, it is persistence. Tap on anything and everything all the time. And for some reason, those things at that moment stuck in my mind. And so I determined that I was going to get some practitioners working on me, and that I just decided that was going to be my frame of mind. I don't care what I was feeling. I was going to tap, tap, tap. I would say the one person that's the most credited for getting me through that was my precious wife. And this may make me tear up a little bit.
That's all right.
Yeah. But she is the most awesome lady in the world.
She is.
She stood beside me. She would remind me, it's not you. This is not you. This is just stuff. You'll get through this. It's okay. And she just took the pressure off. And she would tell when I was going to the funk, and a nice cup of coffee would show up in my favorite mug. Just always doing these kind of things. And I would probably still be in it if it wasn't for her. And so it really deepened our marriage. Of course, all kind of stuff came up during that time in me from the past, but it was just, and I was just not nice. I was in survival mode and hard, and there's a whole side of me that I don't like, I'm getting rid of. and she just let it pass. She knew this is not David, and she just kept going. So, number one lady, queen of the universe, my wife.
Yes.
And then I found I had practitioners that were friends that were contacting me. And when I started disappearing, there were certain ones that stayed in touch. That was Gary, and Beth Thompson and Nicola. Can you say her last name for me?
Vitkovich.
Yeah, Nikovich. Sorry, Nicola, but yeah, it's my southern ethnicity has a hard time with this.
And Gary Walker.
And Gary Walker, yes, my dear friend Gary. And Gary and Elizabeth or Beth, they did sessions on me, and their unique styles hit areas that I wouldn't have gone into. And Nicola was like laser sharp, man. And she wouldn't put up with my stuff, and she got some stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
But I had my practitioner, and this is a practitioner that worked with me the whole time, put in a lot of hours, a lot of concern. And in the session, she was professional, and she just wouldn't let me drive the bus. And sometimes I'd be in the right mind, or I just want to control the whole thing. And she was able to get around it. And that is none other than Kim Brown. And I thank you very much. And in my book, you are like above and beyond level 5, because I think there are very few people who could have worked on me like you did. And you learned my little tricks really, really fast. And you're a credit. I mean, you were worth $300, $400 a session to me, and you gave it to me for free. I was just so blessed.
Thank you.
Throughout that time, things that Robert would teach just popped back in my mind. And so I would just, when it did, I would just go there and follow the simple instructions. Then the final thing was, we were dealing, as you well know, which some of my past, we were dealing with a lot of 45 years of pastoral ministry,
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of pressures that were just not healthy. And as those got cleared up, it's like my relationship with Yeshua, which everybody knows him, his nickname is Jesus, but he's become so personal to me. And it's become deeper and deeper and deeper. And there's just become a very settled peace with him. And that even inspired the group of us, as you know, to even start developing a whole tapping experience, totally centered on Yeshua
Mm-hmm.
and the principles that he taught. But some of the principles Robert teaches,
Yes.
in the seminar, he references that. And so thank you, Robert, for the times you have brought that in. That was very special to me when you do that. It kind of made up for the times when you did all the other and tried to rip us apart as Christians. But I even appreciate those, because it stirs stuff up in me that I was able to deal with. But and the whole time I wanted to get in touch with the Fast 50 community, but that was just part of the whole thing, is that for years, I just didn't trust anybody. And the reason I didn't have a lot of practitioners work on me until Robert said so was that I just didn't trust them. And I was a pastor. I had to have the answer, I had to fix it. And I learned really fast that you better be careful of what you let people have in your life. And so I was deep in that trance, and I would think about getting in touch, and then I would just be overwhelmed with anxiety and then go into the dark hole. And so I decided it's about my healing. And I've never done that. So I spent a year focusing on David Stewart and nobody else. That was probably part of the system too inside of me, is that I always took on the burden of other people's problems and never took time to take care of myself. And so, and that's another thing that Robert brings up that I just want to really emphasize, that if you want to be a great practitioner, you have got to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
You have got to love yourself, and that's the way others will love you. And so that was a resounding thought in my mind that, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then there was immense guilt for me taking care of myself because so many people, were needing me. And it's like, oh, just let it go, let it go, let it go. So that's in brief what we went through.
Well, particularly I think with people in our age group, we were taught not to think about ourselves, to always do for others, but you cannot give from an empty cup.
True.
And the best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself and to care for yourself. So I thank you for spending that year working on David Stewart.
You're welcome. And just one thing here, our age group.
Well,
I
we're
don't know
not the
about you,
millennials. How about that? We're not millennials.
but I understand. I just wanted to mess with you.
So what are your plans now?
Well, with Brenda, my faithful scheduler and business manager, I'm ready to get back into doing sessions, build up the Fast 50 business again, and get back into the community. With this post happening, I'm going to try on Facebook. Those of us of our maturity level aren't Facebook prone. So I'm going to try and get back into it so I can stay up with the people that I really love. I mean, Faster EFT is a unique community. It's the first time in my life that I've been involved with people of all political views, religious views, um, moral views, and we didn't judge each other. We felt kind of a community. And it's the first group of people that I've been around, which is sad to say, that accepted me for what I was and who I was. And once they got to know me, I even had people who didn't really accept the whole Christian concept calling me pastor. And I think they just want to respect me. And there was nobody was trying to convince me of their beliefs. I was not trying to convince them. Our political views didn't matter. We all shared a common experience that we had been through hurt, pain, and trauma. And our experience together created that brotherhood, that band of brothers experience. And we all have worked through pain and trauma together. And so we have that unique connection that makes that a very unique community. And I'm just really wanting to get back into that community and get back in touch with the people that I know and meet new ones. So that's going to be exciting. And then once we get the business, I'm built back up, which that won't take long. We want to start doing business workshops, Fast 50 business workshops, because getting back in touch with the few that I have, it's just alarming how many people started out with Fast 50 with the dreams of making it a business. And there are just so many few people. I think you are one of a handful of people who are having a successful Fast 50 business. And you have gotten out of the Fast 50 group, and many of your clients are not Faster EFT background. So you're like a pace setter, Kim, and being able to do this thing, And so I am just looking forward to getting back in that community, attracting those who had hopes and dreams, and their hopes and dreams got dashed, pulling us together, and we start building some really good Fast EFT businesses that's loaded with integrity, so we can start helping people change and at the same time make a very good living. That's in a nutshell what I'm looking forward to doing.
Very good. So what would you like to leave our viewers with today? What concept or encouragement would you like to give them?
Good question. And you've asked me questions many times in our small group meeting, and it usually takes me a half hour to an hour to answer one simple question. So I'll try and stop that rambling and come down to two basic things. Two basic things. Number one is it is what you do in the moment. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter how much of an awesome session you have. It is what Robert says. persistence, persistence, persistence.
Yeah.
It is tapping in the moment, capturing in the moment. And if it takes you a half hour to work through something that's just trancing, and that trance monkey's just laughing in your face, if it takes you a half hour, it takes you an hour, then do it. I mean, that is where I've had the change, is that I didn't think about the next session, which is the future. I didn't think about the past session, which is the past. It's in the moment. I used what I'd gotten from the last session, and I just captured, aimed, commanded it to go, and re-imprinted. That's what I did. And I did it over and over and over. Sometimes I wouldn't get to bed till 1 or 2 in the morning because I'm having my brain just on steroids, and I'm just capturing it, aiming, and tapping and commanding. And that is probably the most important. The session removes resistance and deals with strong emotions that make the whole thing sound real. But the sessions do not change all the details of the problem. It stirs things up. It causes things to come up. And then the brain is constantly throwing things up to you. What do you want to do with this? And the way the brain talks to us is that you experience, in full-blown living color. And if you if you don't have your mindset of aiming, capturing, aiming, and tapping, then you're going to go from session to session and not have a lot of solid change in your life, unless you have 5 sessions a day. And if anybody wants to do that, I'll be willing to give you a package deal, and we'll just line you up, and we'll do 5-hour sessions a day for 3 months. Just start thinking about the cost that will be. And so it's a lot cheaper for you to actually do it. Oh, and one other thing that came back that I'm having to totally work on is that you notice how sometimes I don't complete a word and it doesn't come out right. That's because this jaw muscle that got damaged when I had that disease during that whole depression time, I had reoccurrence of that. And so sometimes this muscle doesn't work, and I'm thinking words faster than my mouth will form them. And so it goes, "Seeper," instead of cheaper. So it's making me have to relearn how to talk, which is to slow down and to put more thought into what I'm going to say, instead of my fast, rapid, spontaneous talk, which is what I'm used to. And if you also notice, I didn't talk with my hands as much. Anybody who's watched me, it's like the hands have to move. Well, I've been consciously keeping them down, so I'm trying to learn to break a lot of things, because I found the hand movements, many of the things I did with my hands were old programs, and they carried with them a whole thing. And so I'm looking at every aspect of my life, and if I didn't create it, if I didn't initiate it, I'm getting rid of it. And
Excellent.
that's it. That about sums it up.
And that relearning, even though you were talking about speaking, it's a metaphor for what's just good for us to do.
Wow.
We just need to relearn, because we're carrying stuff from the past. So
Very
relearn
good.
something
Very
new.
good. Oh, before we sign off, I want to say I am just really surprised that you're not having a bazillion viewers. I mean, your YouTube videos, when you explain things, Kim, 2 minutes of crystal clear explanation of concepts. And it's like, my goodness, when I start having new clients, I'm going to use your YouTube videos with permission for them to listen to know what can I expect in a session. You do a 2-minute video on it, then I'm thinking, oh, that is really good. I'm spending 15 minutes and covering everything in the world, and you're like going, nail it, nail it, nail it. So I just want to encourage anybody who listens to this, they're with the jaw again. Anybody who listens to this, you need to subscribe and start listening to Kim Brown today, because she just has a very good ability to take the concepts of Faster FT and put them into a 2-minute section that's really clear, very clear. I look forward to the next posting, And I have to say, when it's an interview, like when this comes up, it's like, oh, it's an interview with David. Okay. I wait for the next nugget that you're going to give us. So thank you. That takes a lot of hard work.
Thank you. Thank you. The interviews have some pretty powerful nuggets in them
I'm
as
sure they
well,
do.
in this one especially. And I did make them hoping that practitioners would use them for homework for their clients, as well as people just watching them as well. So well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, David, thank you for the privilege. Aha, you've passed it on to me. The privilege and honor of interviewing you today.
You're very welcome. It's been good, and it's good to get back involved.
Good, good. And David and I thank all of you for watching. Remember, no matter what you've learned from the past, no matter who you think you are valuable. It's worth it to work on yourself. And remember, no matter what you've experienced in the past, today is a new day. See you next time.